Alright, this is a journal video purely for myself because I just went to Chicago and I want to remember the things that, I saw and did. So, I'm going to recap the entire Chicago experience of my Chicago trip, go day by day, go through all the major events, everything that I found interesting, or, whatever iconic foods I ate, all that good stuff. Whatever I looked at and said, that's pretty cool. And, I'll put random crap images into it, however I can do that. And then, yeah, just remember the general gist and vibe and energy that I got from the area. So, Chicago recap experience purely for myself. Let's do it. Alright, I'm gonna try to skip through and speed run, the little things that happen in between, but I still wanna, just get through them. But okay. Yeah, day one we flew in, went to the hotel, yada yada, and then we went metro downtown, which is pretty cool because downtown is the big Chicago city. It's similar to DC, how there's a metro system. There's the big city, and then there's the metro web out to the little suburban areas, because that way you don't have to live in the city to experience the city. You can be somewhere suburban, and then when you want to go to the city, quick metro down to the city, and then you get everything the city has to offer. And the metro's efficient, cool, some homeless people on there, as any metro would. But yeah, we took the metro downtown, got some of my mom's favorite Chinese jianmingguozi, supposedly Chinese street food. That's how it was advertised. I didn't know it was that. But yeah, some Chinese food, boba tea, and then we went to Millennium Park, where we saw the bean, the iconic bean, otherwise known as Cloud Gate, which I realized why it's called that now, because when you go underneath the bean, and you look straight up, you can see this, the reflective surface of the bean curves in on itself. So the top of the bean, if you look up directly from underneath, is like a gate into another dimension. There's a circle, and then it looks like there's another world, and it's like a portal to a different dimension. But in reality, it's just all mirrors, right? It's just the shape of the bean that makes a little gateway up there, and then you can look up and be like, whoa, it's a different world. It's Cloud Gate. I'm assuming that's a reference to a heavenly gate, and that's heaven up there or some crap. I can put some images, but you can basically see, up there is just a circle, and then you can see it into a different world. If you look closely, in the other world is just you staring back down at you. But it's still pretty cool. Good design, interesting landmark, pretty troll and interesting at the same time. Who would ever think to design this weird bean-looking thing that's a meme now? But it's still pretty cool. But yeah, we looked at the bean. We went to this whatever it's called. It's that one venue, that stage where big things happen and everyone performs. There's a stage, and there's a bunch of seats in front of it, and then there's a big field right behind it. That's where we saw John Williams rehearsal. John Williams was rehearsing for a concert that was happening a few days later, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, he was rehearsing there. We went to the field, got a free blanket. That's a common trend at Millennium Park. You go there, you get a bunch of free stuff because it's a big park and people just love to advertise by giving out free crap. So got a free blanket, very cool. Yeah, that was basically it for Millennium Park, at least for that day. We didn't really stick around very long because we went to the Magnificent Mile, which I have never heard of in my life, but my mom told me it's this mile of malls, shops, whatever. And when I went down this Magnificent Mile, it wasn't anything special in my opinion. It's just a normal street, and there's shops on the side. That's every single street. Every street has shops on the side. What makes it so special? I guess the shops were more high end, or more well-known brands. I saw an Under Armour, whatever. I'm sure there were the big luxury brands. Nordstrom was down there. I don't really shop expensive because that's pointless. So it was expensive shops, well-known brands, all that good stuff. It was basically a normal street. I saw Trump Tower. That was pretty cool. Trump just got shot. Yeah, I went to the Starbucks Reserve system. No, not the Starbucks. The Starbucks Reserve, I think that's what it's called. It's one of 4 Starbucks Reserves in the entire world, I'm pretty sure. Basically, it's a giant Starbucks. This Starbucks had 4 stories. When you walk in, there's literally just a girl that stands there and just waves at you. And I thought that was a robot, but that's literally her job the entire time. From the moment I entered the store to the moment I left, this girl just stands there and that's her job. That's literally her job. I thought she was a robot, but she started talking to people, and I was like, that's a real person. Her entire job is to stand there and wave at people. That's how luxurious this Starbucks is. There were 4 stories. You might be wondering what they sell in 4 stories of Starbucks. Nothing they sell at a normal Starbucks. There was pizza, these weird snacks you've never seen anywhere else before, weird drinks and crap, new drinks that aren't sold anywhere else, and weird cocktails, alcoholic section, all that good stuff. Basically, it's not a normal Starbucks. It's a completely different store. But yeah, they're all luxurious. The place was packed to the brim. There's a roof, little balcony area that I went to and chilled out. It was basically just a cool, rich Starbucks. But yeah, that was pretty cool. We went to the contemporary art museum. Contemporary art is like art that's predicting the future on what's going to be in style. It's like pre-firing what you think is going to be cool in like 10 years. So you try to make art that you think will be cool in 10 years. Basically, it's just a bunch of weird things in there. This one guy on the top floor had a really interesting section. There's a lot of like weird themes about like depression and society, and it was just like a bunch of weird paintings. It was somewhat relating to like people constantly on technology and how people are antisocial, and like everyone's like bland, and like the world's kind of bland and everything's going to crap, and it's kind of depressing. But it's the theme was interesting. You know, she captured a lot of essence with those. But yeah, I took pictures of only the best stuff. You like lines. Someone drew lines, and that was pretty interesting. Other stuff I didn't want to take a picture of because it was literally just porn, you know, contemporary art. But yeah, that place was, you know, kind of weird, but it's contemporary, right? They're predicting the future. Maybe it'll be in style in 10 years when people are weirder, but you know, contemporary art, it wasn't that bad, I guess. But yeah, we went to that, and then after that, it was like dinner time, so we went to this comedy club where they had dinner. And they had comedy, which is something apparently Chicago is well known for. Comedy club, they're apparently known for that. So I really want to see someone like doing stand-up comedy in person because I think that's pretty interesting. So we went to this comedy club, got in for like free because we just had to get some food because the system was down because there was this weird system down with Microsoft and whatever. I know everyone has heard of that already. But yeah, we went in, tried the deep dish pizza, because we had to order it. So I'm just going to recap the food first because we ate the food at the same time at the show, but I'll just go over the food first. We got deep dish pizza and a Chicago Iconic. It wasn't that good in my opinion. It's like, it's not pizza anymore. That's just like a big piece of cheese with like some stuff on it. It wasn't bad, but like it's nothing crazy. Deep dish pizza is just like weird pizza, but yeah, it's all right. But mainly the comedy show. This is what I was here for, right? I was there to listen to comedy. There were 4 comedians filtered out through the course of like an hour and a half. All right, what did I call these guys? Gay guy, black guy, woman, and funny guy. Okay, yeah. Gay guy was too gay. He really just didn't have anything funny to say other than the fact that he was queer, and then he just did a bunch of jokes about gay people and like how he's getting hated on all the time, and basically things that only a gay person can say. So he's really milking the gay thing too much that it wasn't really that funny. The black guy was decent. He said some stuff. He also incorporated the crowd a lot more into his show. So he asked this one guy, he's like, "Sir, do you do weed, sir?" And the guy was like, "So," and then everyone started laughing because that's obviously not the answer. If you ask someone if they do weed, the obvious answer should be, "No, I would never do weed. Weed is trash. You think I'm retarded?" But no, the guy was like, "So," oh, and then everyone just started laughing. I guess that was pretty funny. But yeah, that old guy in the crowd, he brought his whole like work party. He was like, "Oh, my manager's here, my manager's here, and my my HR rep is here," and all that crap. Basically, yeah, there was like old people there. I was the only like minor at this comedy club, so oh well, that was pretty interesting. Yeah, black guy did some interesting jokes. I'm not gonna go through like specific jokes because I think that's tedious and pointless, but he was all right. The woman had like this weird like old sense of humor, but it was, you know, all right. And then the funny guy, it was like this guy who I would consider like he was like the bare minimum of what I expected at a comedy club. I'm not saying that other people were bad, but this guy got the general effect of what I got, mainly because he understood what he was doing. He was a fast comedian, right? He can talk fast. If you don't laugh at one of his jokes, he's already on to the next joke, right? It's a continuous story. You don't laugh, oh, you laugh a little bit, oh, you basically he captured the effect of like you just are there to like enjoy the overall vibe, and the vibe is given when he's just continuously talking so much. You're just continuously getting fed with like some, oh, that's pretty funny, oh, that's really funny, and like, oh, that, and like it's just like a general energy of like comedy, right? That was what I expected. But he did this one joke where he said like, you guys, he talked to the audience, he told us, he said, "You guys tend to do this thing where you laugh and then you suddenly stop laughing, like you've had this like you're suddenly you're done with the joke, it's not funny anymore." And I found that really funny because our crowd did seem kind of brain dead because everyone would like either not laugh at anything or laugh at something for like literally 2 seconds, and then everyone stops in unison. So I guess everyone's just like not trying to laugh that day for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, he really understood the crowd. He did all these jokes. Yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna go through everything individually, but yeah, the last guy was funny, which makes sense because you put all the not that funny people at the start, and then you put the funniest person at the end. That's pretty normal. Oh yeah, and a missing detail. One of the guys the comedians tried to do this thing where they incorporate the crowd, like, hey, any people from Chicago? And then everyone's like, ah, that means they're from Chicago. Or they say like, anyone from the West Coast? And everyone's like, yeah. Or anyone from the East Coast? Anyone, blah, blah, blah. And one time, one of the guys said, any Gen Zers in here? And I just raised my hand instantly. And then I was the only one because why would a Gen Z person go to a comedy show? And then they was like, wow, one? Yeah, that's depressing. So I don't know why I raised my hand for that. But it was like, whatever. Overall, the comedy show was not that good. It was okay, right? But it wasn't as funny as I expected. Maybe my expectations were too high. Well, the only guy that was like met my expectation was the last guy because he just talked fast and just continuously fed you with humor. The other people were just like, it was all one or nothing. Like it was either like, it was kind of funny, or like that just didn't hit, and then it would just be like kind of pointless. But yeah. That was basically the last thing we did that day. Comedy club, it was alright. Pizza, deep dish pizza, was alright overall. It was a good experience. I liked it. My mom didn't really understand any of the jokes, which thank God, that's a good thing. And yeah, that was day one. Pretty cool. Alright, day two we went to Northwestern University, basically a little bit north of Chicago, which is actually a 40-minute car ride, I guess. We went to Northwestern because my mom booked a tour there. Before the tour started, I saw some trombone players, like 4 trombone players practicing in a car garage, and they were so loud. I could hear them from across, so I had to hunt them down. I eventually found the car garage, went in, and I just like hovered around them for like 10 minutes, which was kind of weird on me, but like I just wanted to hear them practice. It's always interesting to see like professional players because they are playing. I'm assuming they were students who played at the college, like professionally at least, because that would make sense. But it was were 4 trombone players just practicing. They were hitting notes higher and lower than I've ever reached in my entire life, which makes sense because they're professionals. Yeah, I hovered around them, listened to them. I went to another guy practicing by himself in a different car garage. Pretty cool. Seeing those trombone players was pretty cool. So after we wasted some time, the tour finally started. We got introduced to our tour guides. Weirdly, all these people who were talking there had like a lot of majors because at Northwestern it's apparently really typical to double major, and in fact a lot of these tour guides and students talking there had like triple majors, which is crazy to me. There was someone like, these were like weird majors too, like social study stuff and like environmental stuff. I don't remember. It was just, they weren't the typical majors, which is nothing wrong with that. I just expected more STEM, not like gender studies or something. But yeah, it was interesting. The tour guide was really fun. We saw a lot of things. The tour guide made us all introduce ourselves in the group for some reason, which is weird to me, but everyone introduced themselves. Everyone's like, hi, my name is this, I came from this place, I'm trying to major in this. I said I'm Thomas and I'm trying to major in CS/computer science, which is true for now, I guess. There were 2 people who literally came from China, Beijing. That's crazy to me. Why would you come from China to go to tour a random U.S. college? But then my mom was like, oh yeah, that's really typical. A lot of rich Chinese people want to go to school in America, which is pretty normal apparently. So, that was cool. Saw some Chinese people. But on the tour we saw some things. There was this rock that apparently traditionally people like paint whatever crap on the rock, and it has to be like, it can't be hateful or some crap and blah blah blah. But basically people fight. I don't know. It was like a weird rock that people paint on. And then yeah, he just told other stories. I can't be bothered with to remember. It wasn't that important. But yeah, he told a lot of stories. The campus was pretty interesting, pretty nice overall. Northwestern is a top tier college, I'm pretty sure. So pretty good, vibe overall. Everyone there was just really jolly, surprisingly. I don't really know how to describe it, but everyone was really happy. They all resemble like elementary school children energy, in my opinion, which isn't a bad thing. It's actually like they all have like that youthful energy to them. So that was pretty refreshing just to see that people are still alive nowadays and, you know, talking fast and like being energetic. But yeah, he talked about some important stuff about like classes and how the whole system works there. I didn't understand anything because I'm retarded, but like it was a cool campus. You know, it's next to the water side, next to Lake Michigan, so you can just look out to the whatever side of campus you're on, and then you'd be like, wow, Lake Michigan is so nice. And that place is basically like there's like beaches like every few little miles, or I guess so. It's a really nice area overall. Yeah, there's nothing more to say about it. After the tour, went to an admission officers meeting where he talked about, you know, advice for admission and all that crap. Basically, to make an analogy to some of what he said, it's like a snowball. They're looking for the biggest snowball, and they don't want necessarily just a big snowball. They don't want just someone who's like really good on paper in their application. They don't just want a big snowball. They want a rolling snowball, a snowball on a hill that has a lot of momentum and that will eventually become a really big snowball. So he said on your application, you have to show how you have a trajectory in mind and you have to like be going somewhere, right? You can't just be a big snowball, because when they see a big snowball, they know it's not going to get any bigger. They want to see a snowball that's rolling and gonna get huge eventually, right? They want someone who's like has a plan, who has goals, who hopes to achieve something, all that good stuff. And obviously, if you have no snowball, you're cooked. And if you have a big snowball that's on a hill, then you're fired. Like obviously, if you're already good on paper and you still have trajectory and goals and momentum, then you're obviously golden. You're gonna be going great. But yeah, that was basically it. Northwestern was pretty cool. I didn't really take much pictures because I was forget, and the guy was talking a lot, and I was getting overwhelmed by a lot of information. So Northwestern's pretty cool. Would I apply there? Maybe. I'm sure a lot of colleges are good, so I don't really think it matters that much. But yeah, that was Northwestern University. Saw a few Chinese people. Pretty cool overall. After we went to Northwestern, we went downtown Evanston, got a glorious burger for lunch. I want to remember that restaurant location. I don't remember the name. Basically, it was this brunch store, very fancy, not fancy. It was just really good food. I had one of the best burgers I've ever had in my life. Solid. We went back to Chicago downtown, took a boat tour with a funny guy. Basically, this guy on a boat just talks about the architecture of the buildings and the history and all that good stuff. It was a funny guy. He was basically a comedian. He said he's been to a lot of comedy shows, so it makes sense. The job of the tourist is to be entertaining, at least, so that makes sense. And it was a really expensive boat tour. So the guy would be up in the front talking about the buildings and crap, and then everyone would just be taking photos of every single crap building they would, because tourists, right? So it was funny. He gave us a lot of information that I forget most of them. The only things I remember were like the black building trend, where people would just make black buildings that were like a box, because it was after like the Great Depression or something, where they just like black because it's depressing. And also, or no, I don't remember the information completely, but basically it was somewhat around the Great Depression where they didn't want like all these stylish buildings. They just wanted efficient buildings, so they made black buildings that were just black in a square and like just black windows, full black box. So yeah, that's the only like architectural detail that I remember. He also told us about the Chicago fire, which was a while ago. Said that supposedly they thought a cow started the fire, which is a weird story. That's a fake story though. He talked about how they reversed the Chicago River from flowing into Lake Michigan to out of Lake Michigan, because beforehand they would put a lot of garbage into Chicago River, which would then flow into Lake Michigan, which is their source of drinking water. So they had to make the Chicago River flow out of Lake Michigan, just so Lake Michigan was clean and they could drink water and be clean and all that crap. So interesting boat tour. I took a lot of photos. Saw a lot of things. I can't really go through everything. He showed us the tallest building, Willis Tower, next to what he called the Queen. He called Willis Tower the King building, and the Queen building right next to it, because it's the tallest building, and like a little building next to it that looks like the chess queen board apparently. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. Boat tour, saw a lot of architecture, very fun stuff. And then last thing in the day, we went to the Navy Pier, which is the side of, yeah, Lake Michigan, and it's just like a little area dock that you walk out. It's a nice place. It's a lot of restaurants, and then there's it's not the ocean, it's just the lake next to it. There's not that much about it that was interesting. I did take a glorious photo, but other than that, yeah, I ate a gyro there. It wasn't that good. It was just food. But I don't really know the big deal about Lake Pier. It's a nice area. It's just a lot of restaurants though. I don't really know. But yeah, that was day 2. All right, day 3. The first thing we did was go to Chinatown, which was a nice little area. We started off. There was a giant wall that was a mimic wall of a similar wall that was in Beijing. It has a bunch of dragons on it. Pretty cool. We saw the iconic sign that's in front of every single Chinatown that has like a whatever in it, and then yeah, it was basically just one street with most of the stores, or like 2 adjacent streets with most of the stores and stuff. Actually, no, let me take that all back. There's a lot of stores in the area. There's another like across the street into a different area. There's a giant town like square market or something. It's really hidden for some reason, but it's a long strip of store or restaurants and stores on both sides. It's like a walking mall basically. I would call that the Magnificent Mile, except it wasn't a mile. It was like a little area, just a long strip with a bunch of stores and restaurants on either side. That's where I got this haircut, which, to be short and sweet, I don't really like this haircut, but after a few days you don't really care anymore. And plus the guy was a professional, and not to say he's not a professional, because I literally got exactly what I asked for. My mom was like, get it short, and then I was like, oh yeah, make it like taller on the top, and then I literally just got what I asked for. So I can't complain. I literally got exactly what I asked for. So this is what it is now. It's short, so when band camp starts, you know, I'll be ready for everything. So yeah, nice haircut. You know, pretty good overall. The old Chinatown area is pretty good. I was trying to go to a Chinese museum, but it was closed that day, so I went the next day. That's for tomorrow. And then yeah, nothing that much about Chinatown. We had some Chinese food that wasn't that good in my opinion, or maybe it was because after the haircut I was a bit bummed out. But some Chinese food that was alright. My mom really liked it. And then we went to this other Asian museum that was in a different area that was kind of mid, but I took some photos because there was some interesting art. But overall, that place wasn't that good. It was like mainly statues and stuff, like little figurines or stone stuff, and like I didn't really like that style. I don't particularly like if you just have like a stone terracotta dude there, I'm not gonna be like whoa and then analyze it for 5 hours. It's just a stone statue, right? And then all these little figurines and stuff. It wasn't that interesting. But little Asian museum, I guess that was all right. Not that much. But after looking at that, we went back to Millennium Park, walked around until I got tired, and then we went to Willis Tower, the tallest tower in Chicago, where, you know, we took pictures because we went up this elevator where my ears popped like 20 times. I had to continuously swallow to try to like unpop my ears. But, you know, when you're elevating at such speeds, your ears get kind of messed up. I got a slight headache going up, but, you know, the view was pretty solid. I went to Summit 1 in New York. It was similar to that. Basically, you're just on top of a giant city where you look out, except this time, oh, well, I guess New York was next to the ocean, too. This was next to Lake Michigan, so you can see the giant city, all the tall buildings, and then Lake Michigan right behind it. Pretty cool. Good view on all sides, except the sun was kind of in a bad spot at the time. So when you try to take a picture, there was one of the directions where if you try to take a picture, it was just, you couldn't see crap because the sun was in the way. And that happened to be the direction of where the ledge was. The ledge is this little square glass box that you can walk out into, where basically the floor is glass. The roof is glass. The walls are, you get the point. It's all glass. So you step out into a glass box where you get to look down and scream and be scared, and then, you know, take a photo. Except our photos were garbage because the sun was in the back, but whatever. Overall, a lot of good views, photos, all that good stuff, and pretty interesting overall. Yeah, that was basically day 3. Not too much to it, but still pretty interesting. All right, day 4. We start up rise and grind early. We went to the Museum of Science and Industry, where I basically had to speed run everything because we were getting crunched on time, and there was a lot of other crap I wanted to see. So we speed ran the Museum of Science and Industry. Among the things I saw, the U-505, the first submarine to be captured by the U.S. in World War II, I think, where basically a U-boat is a submarine, and that's what Hitler had a lot of, and he would send them to attack U.S. ships, and then the U.S. decided, yeah, this is cooked, so they sent out a private U-boat hunting squad, and then that squad went out hunting U-boats, and this is the first one, U-505, U-boat 505, the first boat to be captured, the first submarine to be captured, and the original is literally in the museum. So we went to check it out. Can't go in without paying, so we didn't go in. And then among that, we saw some other stuff. There's a little section with like genetics. There's like chickens in there, and there's like an area where eggs literally hatch, and there's like baby chickens like freaking learning what life is, and they're like falling over every 2 seconds. Pretty cool. The 9-year-olds were all looking at eggs, waiting for them to hatch because they think it's that fast. But yeah, we went to a cool room about the ocean. There's this whole exhibit dedicated to water pollution and, you know, plastic waste and all that good stuff. There's this cool room in there. I don't know why they dedicated it just to the ocean, or to the ocean pollution section. It was a really cool room, but it was just like all they did was play like a video over the screen. I don't know how to explain it. I'll put a photo, but yeah. Cool little room. There's this natural disaster section with the worst tornado I've ever seen. Actually, no, it's pretty cool. They made it like a man-made tornado. It's just like a little wind turbine twisting thing. Pretty cool. There's this game on the top floor where you put on a headband that will scan your brainwaves, and then someone else puts it on, and then it'll be a competition. Whoever is the calmest, whoever's brainwaves are the least, or whatever calm means, whoever relaxes the most wins the game. And they determine this by putting a ball in a little plane, and the ball will roll towards whoever's the most not calm. So if you're more calm, you push the ball away from you, and it's like soccer. You're trying to get the ball into the other person's goal. And you know, I played versus my mom. This is me, this is my mom. The ball went towards my mom because I am more calm, and I won the game. So pretty cool game. There were some real human parts that they cut out from someone and just put it on exhibit, which was not that disturbing. And I was told about it, and the Uber driver was like, "Oh, it's kind of creepy, but it's interesting." And I'm like, it wasn't creepy or interesting. It was just human body parts. It wasn't really. I was like unfazed. And then there was a whole area dedicated to like how fetuses grow. There was literally like a fetus like time lapse, except they're physical. They're literally just an exhibit where there's like little boxes, and you just walk along the wall and see what a 0-year-old or like a 1 week fetus looks like, which is literally a dot, versus a 30 something week fetus, which is a fat chunky baby. So pretty cool to see that development. My mom had to emphasize how difficult it is to give life, which is true obviously. And then next door there's like a little section on how like babies are made and all that crap, and it's like when the sperm, blah blah blah, and then there's like a bunch of 9-year-old kids in there running around not listening at all, which is a good choice by them. But yeah, that was pretty much the Museum of Science and Industry. There's a lot of stuff in there. I didn't get a chance to properly look at everything, neither can anyone. That place is just huge, but interesting overall. Pretty good. After that, we went back to Chinatown because I wanted to go to a museum. But first, we had some lunch. Had Xi'an cuisine, which is a place in China. It was pretty good. You know, the rozamoa, yangochar, and then I forgot what the last thing was called. The hand stretched noodles with lamb. You know, the American Chinese burger thing. So Xi'an cuisine, pretty good. And then we went to the Chinese American Museum. Basically, it was 3 floors of. 1 floor of culture and like traditional story stuff, and then 1 for like history, and then the top floor was just random. It was a weird library. I don't know, kind of weird, but it was just a giant library for like Chinese literature and like Chinese American books and all that good stuff. But in my opinion, this was a really cool museum. Basically, on the first floor, there's a bunch of information. You learned that there's a story about the zodiac, how the zodiac sign, the Chinese zodiac has 12 animals. And it's a story about how those 12 animals were chosen, because the Jade Emperor made a race, and the first 12 animals to win the race get a year of the zodiac to them. Basically, I took a picture of the story. You know, it's the origin story of how the 12 zodiac animals were picked. And then most memorably, there were these like fables or whatever they're called. They're like the stories that have a moral and like a lesson to them. Basically, there were like all these Chinese fables, and I love them so much. Chinese fables were like the most like brain mungling, interesting, like haha, that's actually pretty slick Chinese lore. But I'm gonna yeah, I have them all listed down in like the most low effort way possible. These I'm not going to explain them because you can probably look them up, and basically these are here for me to remember, and hopefully in the future if I ever look back in this I can remember these garbage explanations and then hopefully remember what the actual story is and then try to look it up again because they're all very interesting and I'd love to like remember them and look them up later when I need a little bit of inspiration or some crap. But basically on the Fox and the Tiger, when the fox tricked the tiger into thinking everyone was scared of the fox, when in reality it's because the tiger is right behind him and the tiger is actually scaring everyone. The snake and the cub, this guy drinking from a cub thought there was a snake in his cup because of a shadow and he got sick, but in reality there was no snake, it was just a shadow. But the lesson is he got sick because he thought there was a snake, so that means your brain tricked him into getting sick or something like that. The drawing a snake with feet, there was a competition to draw a snake on the ground, and whoever drew it fastest got a bowl pot of wine or something. So this guy drew a snake, but everyone else was still working, so he added feet to his snake because he wanted to be cool. But then he lost because someone else finished before him, and technically a snake doesn't have feet, so he would have lost twice, right? Someone finished before him and he drew a snake incorrectly. So being extra and above and beyond isn't necessarily correct all the time. Just do what you're told. The dragon fanboy, this dude who loved dragons and told everyone he loved dragons, so when the dragons visited him and he got scared, the dragons realized he didn't actually love dragons. I don't remember what the moral of that was. The deer who gets betrayed, there was this cool deer, the guy who got saved by the deer and then later betrayed the deer because there was a bounty on the deer. So then he betrayed the deer and then the deer just waves it off because he's cool, and then the deer says, "You bum, don't betray me." Something like that. I'm speedrunning these in like the most low effort way possible. Fix the sheep pen. The guy with his sheep, and then the pen breaks, and then his homie says, "Yo, you should fix the pen before more sheep escape." And he's like, "No, dude, I gotta get the sheep that escaped back first, and then I'll fix the pen." And then he lost more sheep the next day. So the lesson is fix the sheep pen first instead of chasing the sheep that already left. Because I'm trying to think of a real world analogy, but it's not coming to me. Basically, you gotta fix the problem at its core. Don't try to fix a smaller problem that escaped. I don't know. But, rabbit hits a tree. This guy saw a rabbit hit a tree and die, so he ate the rabbit, and then he was like, okay, let me quit my job and leave everything in life behind and camp this tree, because then rabbits will hit this tree, they'll die, and I'll get unlimited food. It doesn't work like that. Rabbits don't keep hitting trees. So he lost his farm because he gave up and then let all his crops die, and then the rabbit never hit the tree. No more rabbits headbutt the tree. So, what's another one? Blessing or not, old guy. This is the most iconic one. The old guy who loses his horse, and his homies are like, "Oh, that's unfortunate," and he's like, "You never know what's a blessing or not." And the horse comes back with more horses, and they congratulate him. He's like, "Oh, you don't know if it's a blessing or not." And then his son broke his leg on the horse, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then he's like, "You never know if it's a blessing or not." Basically, the moral is life. You don't know what is a blessing or not in life. Life is up and down and all that crap. So I think that's most of them. I definitely forgot at least one or two, but I hope to remember the gist of most of these. Basically, they're all very interesting Chinese fables. I didn't really capture the essence. Anyone who's actually interested, definitely look up the Chinese old fables. They're all very interesting. But what else? I took other photos. There was art, some of the best art I've ever seen. History, all that good stuff. This is actually stuff that I was very interested in because I was interested in culture, and then I asked my mom some stuff. I learned a little about the Chinese regions, right? I'm from Sichuan province. My mom's from Tianjin province, if that's even right. I'm pretty uncultured, but learned some more about that stuff. Saw a lot of interesting stuff, interesting art, interesting stories, interesting culture crap, and had some tea at the top floor because they just offered free tea. yeah, it was pretty interesting overall. One of the best, no, in fact, it's like one of the best museums I've ever been to, which is obviously biased because I am of Chinese descent, so it was all more interesting to me. But yeah, in my opinion, this was one of my most favorite museums to ever go to, just because I was actually very curious on everything that I saw there. So yeah, pretty cool. After that, we went to get this. I tried a Chicago hot dog in this different area. It wasn't that good. Chicago hot dogs are one of the iconic foods. It was basically, what do they put on there? They put mustard, relish, I think onions, a pickle, peppers, and some other things that I'm probably forgetting. Basically, if you put a pickle, a pepper, and mustard on the same piece of food, you're gonna die instantly. Basically, I took a bite where I got an entire pepper, a giant piece of pickle, and a mouthful of mustard, and I almost threw up because that is the most explosive, cancerous amount of flavor. No one needs to eat that much spice and sour in the same bite. It's disgusting, in my opinion. But I still ate the whole thing. I didn't really like it that much, but if Chicago people can handle that crazy amount of flavor, they do that, right? Like, it was too much for me. But last thing we did in the day, John Williams, Daddy John Williams concert. John Williams is a famous composer. He did the Star Wars stuff. He did the Jurassic Park stuff. I'm sure he did a bunch of other stuff. He's the most iconic. We were going to go because it was free. It was in Millennium Park. But it was, in fact, full, and we couldn't get in, right? The whole field was full. The seats in the front were obviously full. Literally, the side of the park was starting to get full. But the solution is I snuck in because there were two horribly oriented fences that I could sneak under one, slide around the other. I did that, snuck through. Still wasn't close enough to get like into the concert, but I was like at the edge. So I got a pretty good photo of like the cancerous amount of people there. But I snuck in, my mom snuck in. Of course, that was after like an hour of deliberation, thinking, can they arrest me for sneaking into a concert? And my thought was no, and I'm not gonna get caught. So I went in, no balls, and then just, concert. It was pretty fire. Obviously it's good music. It's John Williams. He's a famous composer. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I don't really know what else to say. I took recordings. I'm not gonna play them because everyone knows what the music sounds like. Basically, the most memorable thing was that the fact that it was packed, and it was just, we had to sneak in. That's how packed it was. But yeah, that was day 4. Pretty fire. Chinese Museum was pretty cool, and John Williams was pretty cool too. Alright, day 5. This was the last day, basically. Or yeah, it was the last day. We started with the Art Institute in the morning with a lot of stuff, a lot of cool Asian stuff, just a lot of art. I can put like some of the highlights. It was just a lot of interesting stuff. Surprisingly, the type of style of art that catches my attention most nowadays is the weird abstract stuff that like has contrasting colors and just sticks up out you, or sticks out like in your eyes, and you're like, whoa, colors and shapes, and it's like weird, but it's like cool. I don't really like those traditional paintings where it's like just people. Like, I've seen enough of those, like the traditional paintings with like people just doing whatever. It doesn't really catch my attention anymore. But yeah, I saw some interesting stuff. I'll put random crap photos everywhere. But yeah, art, pretty cool. Saw a lot of stuff. There was Japanese stuff. There was Chinese stuff. There was, the traditional European stuff. There was all the good stuff. Art, right? So Art Institute was pretty cool. And the Field Museum we went into, it was pretty cool. What does it have exactly? I don't know how to describe it. It's everything. There's like, what is the Field Museum? It captures like human evolution, or the world evolution. We saw a bunch of animals in there. We saw a lot of China stuff, surprisingly, because there's a whole section dedicated to China. So I obviously went to that. Saw a lot of cool backstory. I saw like a time lapse of how China has grown as an empire in terms of landmass, where it used to start like this, and then over the time lapse, it's like, whoa, land, more land, and then eventually modern day China is like pretty big. So a lot of China stuff. I looked at a lot of gemstones because that was pretty cool to have in a museum. A lot of jade in there, cool stuff. Yeah, I just speed ran everything. I by no chance went through the entire Field Museum. I didn't have time because this was the last day and the flight was a few hours later. But yeah, we just speed ran the Field Museum. After we looked at that, we tried to go to the aquarium, but it was packed for the day, which is so surprising to me because it's an aquarium. It's fish or something. it can't be packed for the day. It's an aquarium. It's not that interesting, but I guess it was that interesting if it was packed for the day. So it makes me think I missed out on something really cool, but whatever. It was full, so we didn't go to the aquarium. For the last few hours before we left, we went to a lakeside walk, took some photos. It was really relaxing. It was a nice day, nice weather. A lot of people just going outside on a walk just because Lake Michigan is really pretty. So when you do a lakeside walk, you can just look right or left and then be like, whoa, a lake, fire. And right next to the lake, there's like a lot of wind. So it's nice and cool, calm. On a sunny day, it's just really nice. So nice lakeside walk. And then, yeah, we went home. But at the airport, we tried a Italian beef Chicago style sub, which was extremely spicy. It was just peppers and beef. That was literally all it was. It was peppers and beef. That was the main two ingredients. So it was pretty spicy, and I liked it a lot because I like spicy foods. But yeah, it wasn't that complex. And in my opinion, all the Chicago foods are either like the pizza was kind of mid, and then the hot dog was just cancerous amounts of flavor, and the Italian beef was just spicy. So they're all just like exotic or dull. I don't really know. But yeah, that's day 5 in a nutshell. All right. To sum up my overall Chicago experience, Chicago's a pretty big city. Obviously, it's like World Fair level because the flag for Chicago is 4 stars. 2 of those stars are for World Fairs, apparently. It's to represent how they're so cool and the world has recognized them as a really cool place. But yeah, the metro particularly, I really liked. It was very similar to DC, like I said before. The metro system where you can go to suburban areas and then just metro into the city. So you don't have to live in the city. You can live out somewhere suburban and calm. And then when you want the city is there. Everything it has to offer is there. 1 metro ride away. So I love the metro system. It's just sick. And then overall, it's a really nice city compared to other cities, in my opinion. There's a lot less homeless people and druggies, in my opinion. Obviously, they were still there because it's a big city, but it was a lot less, surprisingly. I don't know why, but overall, it was nicer. It was a lot of wind because next to Lake Michigan, something with the science and wind. It's called Windy City for a reason, right? A lot of wind in the city. I like the wind because, usually when you have a big city, it's like really like cramped and like warm and busy. So a nice breeze of wind really sets the scene and makes everything more calm. So yeah, it's like a safer, or no, it's like a nicer New York and San Francisco, but it's like a bigger DC because DC's not that big. It's like a in between. It's like, yeah, it's basically one of those big cities. It's just nicer, right? It's safer, in my opinion. There's like less homeless, there's less drugs. Overall, just a really nice area. But yeah, it's a hectic city because all cities are hectic, and I wouldn't like a city. I don't like the city. I would like to live in like a suburban area and then like the city nearby, which is why I love the metro, right? I would love to live in the suburbs and then metro into the city. But yeah, I don't like the city. It's hectic, but that's just, I would say that about any city. It's still interesting to visit, but this city in particular was definitely a lot nicer in my opinion. It's just a really good area. So yeah, glad to visit Chicago. Had a lot of cool experiences. Saw the Bean, which is all I needed to see, and then a lot of other interesting stuff. So yeah, Chicago is cool. That's about it.